In this lesson, I'd like to teach you a very useful shape as a jazz guitar player. It's one that I'm sure you all know, but what I'd like to demonstrate in this lesson is some various different concepts and lines that can be gained by using its strong visual perspective on the guitar. Just before we begin the video, I'd like to tell you about a free beginner jazz guitar course which I have available for anyone that is new to learning jazz guitar. I've put this jazz guitar course together to break down jazz guitar in a coherent and structured way. There are over 25 4K video lessons and a 40-page downloadable PDF to help you get started. Each module comes with downloadable PDFs, chord diagrams, etudes and studies to help you get started learning the wonderful art of jazz. The shape which I'm going to be talking about is just a diatonic major 7th arpeggio in the key of B flat. So we have the root, 3rd, 5th and 7th. If you want to complete a 2-octave arpeggio, that'll be the shape which you can use. But the main initial shape that we're going to be using is this one right here. Root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. B flat, D, F and A. If it's a completely new shape to you, then it's worth just running that descending a few times. And once you can do that, trying to get some dexterity, moving it up into 8th notes. Try and move it in a few different keys as well. Maybe just ascend in one key, then descend in a different key. That kind of thing, just to get your fingers used to the shape. In terms of the fingering, I always like to personally play the B flat with the pinky and then work down and do it like that. I can also see it as that chord shape, a B flat major 7th inversion. The first phrase that I'd like to teach you is called the Unzipper banana jazz cliche. It sounds like this. It's called the Unzipper banana jazz cliche because it sounds like you're saying the phrase unzip a banana when you add notes to those words. Unzip a banana. It forces you to kind of add some important jazz rhythms to that arpeggio and create a phrase. If that's a new one, it's worth checking out and playing a few different keys. It starts just by playing a descending arpeggio, but then you're going to add the 7th and then you're going to fall to the 6th. Like so. Now the phrase which I've got written out here on this PDF sounds like this. What's going on there? Well, we've got that initial launch, our unzip a banana launch, but once we've done that, we've then got some more movement. We play the descending arpeggio, but rather than go to the 6th there, we go back up to the root, and then up the triad, but rather than play the 7th there this time, we play it on the 10th fret of the B string, and we have chromatic descent to the 5th of the chord. Triadic movement, and then resolving to the G note. So played slowly. And then up to tempo. So the Unzipper banana has a very good launch into other phrases. You could just use the lick by itself, but as you can hear there, once you add some notes on top of it, it sounds a little bit less cheesy and a little bit more like a bebop phrase. The next phrase I've dubbed as the bebop jumpstart. I've called it that because you often hear players like Charlie Parker and Sonny Stitt use this. Charlie Parker uses it all the time in multiple variations, and you can hear Sonny Stitt use it on the opening few notes of his composition Eternal Triangle, which is a great rhythm changes theme to check out. The phrase, or at least the jump start to the phrase, sounds like this. And Charlie Parker would do something like this with it. So what's going on here? We're starting this time on the 7th, and then we're playing into a triplet. So 8th note on the end of the beat, triplet, and then going to the 7th of the major 7th arpeggio. Now, in this Charlie Parker lick, we do that, but we've got some other things afterwards. So we start by doing the bebop jump start, and then we've got the 6th, 5th, 3rd, and then a triplet on the 4th to the 5th, drop into the 3rd, Rue, and then we've got this beautiful note here, which is a G flat, so that's going to be your sharp 5, then 4th, and then resolving to the 3rd. Just like that. So played very slowly, the Charlie Parker phrase sounds like this. And now up to speed. The next phrase is dubbed the major to minor effect, and it also uses that very useful arpeggio. It sounds like this. So what's going on here? Well, we've basically just got a descending B flat major 7th arpeggio again, but I'm using a technique sometimes referred to as backpicking, where I'm starting on the 7th of the arpeggio and descending through the arpeggio, just literally 7, 5, 3, 1. Now my picking, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right, but it works for me. So I just start with a back pick, and then it's almost like a backwards rake, you know, the front rake, but a reverse of that. It's sometimes hard to get it clean, but most of the time I think it sounds okay. And it kind of just has more of a, you know, a fluent sound of notes, or a flurry of notes, rather than hearing each note individually, like the Unzipper banana lick that we've done earlier. So you can obviously just use this lick over a major chord and that sounds okay. But one of my favourite ways which you can use this lick is if you're going from a major to a minor chord. So if you've got one bar of B flat major, then another bar of B flat minor, then you can do something like this. So what's going on there? So I'm basically starting by using that phrase, that arpeggio, thinking of a B flat major 7th arpeggio, then of a B flat minor 9, I'm thinking of a D flat major 7th arpeggio, which is the same chord as a B flat minor 9, and it's got that nice kind of strong motific sound that you hear lots of jazz players do. So you could use that whenever you've got a tune that goes major to minor, or even a song that goes 4 major to 4 minor. So if you were playing something like Misty, 2, 5, 1 to 4, then you could, there's your major shape, and then when it goes to A flat minor 9, that would be, you know, one example in which a tune which you could do that kind of thing with. The next example teaches you how to take the shape through a scale, and it sounds like this. So for this example, we're actually changing the fingering slightly. So rather than playing the 7th there, we're playing it here. Rhythmically, we've got an 8th note on the end of the beat going into a triplet, and that will give you that type of arpeggio. That's the kind of Wes Montgomery way of fingering arpeggios. He often liked to play across the neck, so it gives you that kind of sound, and it's a little bit easier to move throughout a harmonized major scale with that fingering, I think. So B flat harmonized major scale goes B flat, then it goes to C minor, so all we need to do is move this shape up, make it minor, drop the 3rd, and then catch the 7th there, and we're going to start with the 7th in the lower octave. So what we've got so far is basically B flat major, C minor 7, and you can keep it going to D minor 7 also. So played slowly. And then at tempo. You can actually begin to combine these ideas when you can move this idea through a scale. For example, you could think about a different chord progression, like a 3-6-2-5 in the key of B flat, and you would get this type of lick. So what's going on there? Well, we've basically got that arpeggio shape going up to the 7th, dropping to the 3rd of the next chord, which is a G7, and there I'm doing that rhythm which I talked about earlier, which was an 8th note into a couple of 16ths, trying to get my rate going on, and then doing the same thing down a tone, and then you can resolve it to the 5th if you like. So that played slowly sounds like this. Once you practice these concepts, I highly recommend checking out applying them over something like a jazz blues. You might generally attribute a dominant 7th chord to jazz blues type of phrases, which is very much true, but if you ever listen to Charlie Parker, then he often plays major 7ths over jazz blues, and as long as you use it tastefully over the 1 chord, it can be a very cool sound. So what I've done on this PDF is just basically write how you might apply some of these concepts to a jazz blues. So the little etude that I've written out sounds like this. Hopefully you can now see why I rate that little major 7th shape so much. You can use it for all kinds of things, and hopefully this video gives you at least an insight into a few of them. If you found it useful, then please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video for more lessons like this. Thank you for watching.